We have this golf simulator in here, and Seton put the par 3 7th at Pebble Beach up there. I almost had a hole-in-one. I hate that simulator because I love it so much. It's addicting. We just bang away wedges on that par 3 7th. It's the famous sand wedge hole, 100 yards on the water. Yes, Seton.
Aren't you curious now the next time you play Pebble? You're going to step up there and be like,
Love Pebble. Can't go wrong. You cannot have a bad day at Pebble Beach. You can have a bad golf score. You can't have a bad day there. We'll get to more of your phone calls coming up. He's one of the stars NBA on TNT. Steve Kerr joining us. Have you played Pebble, Steve?
I have a couple times. It's unbelievable.
Well, how'd you do on the par 3 7th?
You know what? I both days I played, it wasn't windy, so it really wasn't that hard. But I do want to play one day and hit into a 40-mile-an-hour wind and hit like a 5-iron or something. I think that'd be cool.
Did you play golf with when you were with the Bulls? Was Jordan playing golf at the time? Did he start playing?
Oh yeah, he was playing. We never played together, but he was playing all the time during those days.
But as competitive as he is, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else on that team. Did Pippen or Wennington, Bill Cartwright, any of those guys play golf?
I think Kukoc started to play kind of at the end of that run, and I hear he plays all the time now, and he's supposed to be scratch, and he's gotten really good.
But you know what would drive Jordan crazy if he knew Kukoc was a better golfer than him.
Yeah, no, that would drive him nuts.
You got a Jordan story that we haven't heard before?
Since we're talking about golf, I do remember in the very early days of Tiger's career, but before he won the Masters at however old he was, Michael was kind of hanging out with him, and Tiger came to Chicago to play a golf round with him, and I just remember being and I was a golf fan at the time. I knew who Tiger was, even though he hadn't won big. And I just remember at shoot-around one day, Michael telling me all about his round in Chicago with Tiger Woods, and I was peppering him with questions. How much farther does he hit it than you, and how many strokes did he give you? And it was just awesome, to hear this story about those two guys just going out and playing golf together.
And they related to one another because of their competitive nature and the will to be the best. But even then, I wonder if Tiger sort of sucks in Jordan to make a bet. And because you know how Mike is, he thinks he's better than what he really is. So
right.
here's Tiger saying, you know what, I'll give you how many strokes you want.
Yeah.
How many do you need?
He could sucker him in for sure. Mike would say, we'll just play straight up. I can get you.
Laker overreaction as they started the season, and now with this Nash injury, are you familiar with that kind of injury? And if so, how long are we looking at Nash being out?
I think I had the same injury. I banged knees one year with somebody I can't remember who it was, but it kept me out about 3 weeks. It's like a tiny little fracture, if it's the same thing. I don't think this is a huge deal for the Lakers because in the end, they're going to be in the playoffs and they just need Nash healthy when it counts. So it's not the end of the world. The Lakers just need to keep getting better each day and win a few games here and there and just try to gain a little momentum. But it's been interesting. There's no hiding in LA, that's for sure.
Well, you look at this team, and I don't know how long it takes. We talk about chemistry, and I don't even know. It's not tangible. So you're trying to figure out something, but there's really no game plan on how to say, let's all play together and have chemistry. How long do you expect something like this to take, and is it different than what it would take the Miami Heat with their so-called chemistry?
I think it's pretty similar to the Heat 2 years ago. I think they started 9-8 or something, and it was a very similar situation. I think that the issue with the Lakers that I see is that despite the fact that they've got all this talent, there are flaws. On the roster, there's not enough shooting. the bench doesn't have enough scoring. And I think that when I see Nash, I watched him in Phoenix all those years, and other than a year and a half when he had Shaq down on the block, he was, he had about 7 years of zero postmen, and 5 3-point shooters around him all the time. And Amari Stoudemire rolling down the lane, but coming from the perimeter off pick and roll. And so it was a totally different game. Now you look at Nash, he's got Gasol and Howard posting up, got very little shooting. So there's nowhere for him to go. So I think Nash has a really big adjustment ahead of him, and I think he's so smart that it'll happen, but it's just a much different style of play for him.
Now we can say this, I think. When you were the GM of the Suns, did you ever get a trade proposal for Nash where you actually had to think about it or go to the ownership and say, we should look at this?
Not one. And part of it was that he was so valuable to us that it would have been almost impossible to get equal value. But even more so was the fact that, when I was there, he was already 36 years old. And the only teams that were going to be interested were teams like the Lakers who were close to a title and wanted to get over the hump. And when you think about those teams, they don't have good draft picks. They don't have a lot of, young assets that they're willing to unload because they're trying to win a championship. So we used to have people call all the time, but never anything that made us even think twice.
If Kobe gets that 6th title, can we have a legitimate discussion comparing him and Michael Jordan?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll always be partial to Michael, obviously, but I think the comparison is appropriate because of the rings, number one, but just the approach, the competitive will, and the incredible work ethic. I think those two share so much in common. I heard that the comment that Kobe made about A-Rod last month during the playoffs. That was one of the greatest comments of all time. And couldn't you have heard that coming out of Michael's mouth?
Oh.
So I love Kobe. I love his arrogance. I love his approach, and it reminds me a lot of Michael. And yeah, you win 6 titles, you deserve to be in that same conversation for sure.
I brought up LeBron James for Sportsman of the Year. We were just discussing it here with the Danettes. Has there been enough time, enough separation from Cleveland? And I know, the Sportsman of the Year, the interpretation, it's open, it's subjective, but could you see it for him?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I haven't given it any thought, so it's not like I'm sitting here putting a list together, but I'm so impressed with what LeBron did last year, particularly in the face of the modern-day media scrutiny. And I think that's something that should probably be taken into consideration when you talk about this kind of a big-picture award. I don't think anybody has ever faced the type of daily scrutiny that LeBron has faced the last 2 years. And the way he handled it, to go from that miserable performance against Dallas 2 years ago in the finals to dominating the finals last season, and the different approach and the confidence and kind of breaking through that barrier in the face of the world watching him, I thought it was incredible, and I think he deserves every accolade he gets.
I do think that will be the argument more than Kobe and Michael, because I think LeBron has a chance to be better than Michael because of what he does, how he does it, and he's different than Michael. Kobe is similar to Michael. I think the fact you got a hybrid of Michael and Magic makes LeBron stand out even more, and I think that'll be the case when his career is over.
I just think that the thing that I will always question is whether LeBron cares as much as Michael did. And that's not so much a knock on LeBron as it is just a word about Michael's competitiveness. I mean, that guy never, ever took a day off and was absolutely thirsting to win every single day at everything. And I think LeBron he's more a little more laid back than Michael. I think when you look at the overall athleticism, it's ridiculous how strong and fast and explosive LeBron is. But I don't see the same attention to detail. He doesn't really have a low post game, even though people are saying he does. He doesn't have the same footwork. I don't think he has the same technique, the same attention to detail that Michael had, that Kobe has. That's not a knock. It's just an observation. When all is said and done, he's definitely going to be one of the greatest of all time. But I just think I think he and Michael are a lot different, whereas Kobe and Michael, as you said, are very similar.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point because you saw it every day. And I couldn't imagine that being around Jordan, that he had to just want to whip everybody's ass and just could not. He could probably never accept mediocrity, even though some of you guys didn't have the talent to be doing it on an every game basis. Here's Michael saying, "What the hell is wrong with you guys? Why can't you be like Mike?" And of course, there was only one Mike.
Yeah, no, and he drove us. He drove everybody, but he didn't. He drove himself more than anybody, and that's what really stood out was just the intensity every single day and the attention to detail. His footwork, I think that's where people. I think when they want to compare LeBron to Michael, look at the footwork down on the block, the turnaround jump shots, the moves in the post. To me, it's not even close. Now, LeBron is so physically gifted, and he's playing in a different era where you can't foul on the perimeter, where most teams are playing 4 out, 1 in with very little shot blocking. LeBron's just completely dominating games with his penetration and his just overwhelming athleticism. But I thought with Michael, it was just a more refined game and more attention to detail. Again, I mean, I'm not bashing. I'm a huge LeBron fan. I'm just trying to point out the differences.
Yeah, and didn't I cost you $10,000 with LeBron?
You sure did. Didn't you say you were gonna pay that if I could ever find the letter from Stern?
Yes. Do you have it?
I gotta look for that.
Okay,
yes.
but
we should remind our listeners what that was about.
Okay. I was joking because LeBron, we didn't know where he was going to go, and Steve was still with the Suns, and I said, did you guys reach out to LeBron James? And then you said...
I said we'd offer him mid-level.
Mid-level, and you were joking,
yeah.
And the commissioner then... Now, does he call or send a letter and say, that'll cost you $10,000 for tampering with LeBron James?
That was a phone call, I believe, but... I don't think it didn't come from the commissioner. I think it came from maybe Stu Jackson. I can't quite remember. But
were you joking? Here's Seton. Do you have the sound of Steve? Okay, here's Steve when I asked him the question, and he said he was joking.
Well, if he'll take mid-level, we'll give it to him, Dan.
Well, what's mid-level for LeBron?
About $5.5 million.
Okay, I laughed. I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
commissioner didn't laugh.
You know what? Yeah, you can't joke about that stuff. And I knew the rules, and even though you're making light of stuff, it's just you can't get away with that stuff in the NBA. They've established that, and I just sort of forgot. We were having a good time. You suckered me into it, and it cost me $10,000.
Okay, here's the thing: you come up with the letter that says why you got fined.
Okay,
I will pay half of your fine. How's that? I will send you a check for $5,000.
How about Well, how about we donate it to charity? You donate $5, I donate $5.
Absolutely. How about you come up with a letter? We'll send the money to Red Cross.
Perfect.
Okay.
I like it.
All right, love
it. Each. Well, you send $5, I'll send $5.
Absolutely,
Perfect.
absolutely. Right. Thank you, bud.
All right, thanks.
Steve Kerr, he's doing the Clippers Trailblazers game on Thursday, and then Syracuse against San Diego State Friday on the USS Midway aircraft carrier.